Hello and welcome to our YouTube channel, Mugai Paul Nyaroto. Thanks for tuning in to this live session. So I'm going to talk about the introduction to computers, as will be tackling the computers as a class. So that is the easiest way we're going to tackle this. So talking about computers, you need to understand the classification of computers. You also need to know what about the computers. If you need to understand about the computers, so you must define what is a computer. In simple terms, a computer is an electronic device that accepts data as its input, processes it under instructions, storing its memory to produce meaningful information as its output, processes it under instruction, stores it, processes it and outputs it according to the user, the functionality design, the user expectations or the user requirements. So the next thing you're going to understand about computers is why should we need to know more about computers, and why do we need computers in our society? Then why are computers important? So after defining the computers, what are computers, the next thing is we're going to talk about the major classifications of computers. And when talking about the major classifications of computers, we are talking about the computer hardware, we are talking about the computer software, and these are just the major ones. If we add one, we're going to talk about the computer liveware. Now the computer liveware is the computer user. We're tackling about the computer hardware, that is we're talking about the tangible parts of a computer. When talking about this computer software, this is just a set of instructions that guides the computer on how to process the data. Then talking about the liveware, this is the computer user. So briefly talking about the computers, we need to understand, we need to define some terms. So defining the computer, we have the data and information. You clearly need to define what is data, what is information, and again differentiate between the two. So briefly talking about the data, that is raw facts or unprocessed information. Talking about information, this is the processed data that is meaningful to the user. So just briefly talking about the next thing to know about computers, because this is just a class. Briefly talking about computers or introduction to computers before we seriously get into understanding the course outline and what we are expected to cover by the end of your course. In case you have any questions, feel free to ask, and then I'll be responding to all of you. So computers, the major components, as I've listed them. The next thing, computer hardware. You have under computer hardware, you have input devices, processing devices, storage and output devices. Guys, tackling the next thing about the computer hardware, you need to clearly understand what are input devices, what are the functions of the input devices, what are the classifications of the input devices. Same to processing devices, what are these, that is processing devices, what are they expected to do. Then the next thing you need to understand is what are the storage devices, the classifications of the storage devices, the factors to be considered when purchasing and storing that device. Then the next, the fourth category of computer hardware devices, you have the output devices. Output devices, you need to understand the classification of the computer hardware, the factors to be considered when storing them, when accessing them, when purchasing them. When you understand these major four things, the major things about under the computer hardware. That is computer, we're talking about input, processing, storage, and output devices. That means you'll have already covered the hardware bit of the computer. Then the next thing is the software. Software, in simple terms, you can say that these are set of instructions that guides the computer on how to perform a specific task, or guides the computer on how to reach to the desired goal or destination. That is, maybe you want to design something, maybe using or maybe you want to make a poster. What will you use? You need a software, and a software is just a combination of a set of instructions. Then that is about that. Then under liveware, there's the computer user. You need to understand about the laboratory. You need to understand how the user need to dress. The computer user need to handle the computers. And again, talking about the computer user, you must be literate. You must have at least well versed with the computers. Not as a pro, but you need to have that knowledge or that skill to handle computers, store them, switch them on, switch them off, make sure that you're following the correct procedures when switching them on, switching them off. This will prevent data loss, because the main thing that you're talking about the computers is information. That's the vital thing. But all the systems just focusing on information. So the other thing we'll be talking about computers is the classifications of computer. That is according to size, functionality, and according to purpose. We also have the generation of computers. We have the first generation computers, second generation computers, third generation computers, fourth generation computers, and fifth generation computers. Based on these 5 generations, we have some specific things we are basing on. Talking about the first generation computers, guys, class, as you can maybe in the next class I'll be showing them, presenting them to you, and be showing you in image. I'll also show you the images. So talking about those, we have they were very large in size. After being large in size, talking about the larger the device, the more room it will consume. So being larger, it means you're using you're using very many equipments to build that. Being large, then it means in terms of data processing, processing of data. That is when you're finding those upper generations where they were using punch cards. That is, you're submitting your work to this station, and then you're not picking it like now, the way we're used to. You're typing something, it's being processed on the side from the cyber guys, then you get it back, your response. Not like that. Class, it was taking some time, because this room you're taking your work, it should be received, be processed, then move to the next stage. Then the next stage, then you will come and pick it from the other stage. And note that maybe after some days, that's making the system slow and boring to use them. Then they were consuming a lot of energy, and something that is consuming a lot of energy, in return it releases more heat. We're talking about they were using the Munich valves, Then, just talking about the first, second, the more you're moving from one generation to the next, the more the size is reducing, the more the speed is increasing, or else size, speed, and the storage. That is maybe data storage. You're having, if you see the computers from olden days, you can see they were having maybe 24 gigabytes of hard disk, 50 gigabytes of hard disk, 80 gigabytes of hard disk. And compared to these current computers, you can see you're having 2 terabytes, you're having 3 terabytes, and so on. 500 gigs of data, 500 gigs of head disk. Talk about the laptops. You can see the desktop. When you look into them, all the olden days computers, they're very large. Talking about currently we're having some MacBooks. We have talking about the HP Elite books. You have the Lenovo ThinkPads. You have the very many of them. Have very many computers at the moment. The next thing you need to understand about computers, where are these computers used? Talking about the usage of computers, you can see the computers in the hospitals. Talking about the location where they're used and why are they used there? Why are they needed there? In everything, you need to understand the computers are needed to store data. That is the same in all institutions, be it a learning institution, be it a hospital or anything. That the vital thing, computers are meant to store data. Computers can be used in supermarkets, that is a POS, the point of sale. The computers can be used in learning institutions to do research. The computer can be used in entertainment. The resorts, the pubs, the clubs and everything, for entertainment purposes. The computers can be used in churches to store records. Maybe when they're required to project on the LCD projectors, using computers. When we want to live stream on Facebook, we're using computers. So after understanding this brief introduction, just making stories about computers, and the next thing you need to understand how the safety measures for these computers, because they're helping you. You need to store the computers in a very correct way. That is, maybe you're storing it not you're installing the computers according to how you are asked to by the manufacturers. Even computers are said you need to store them between this temperature and this temperature. The humidity matters. These are devices. The hard disk is not to be exposed to high temperature, since it's magnetic and may lose the value, may lose the data. The computer must be stored in a place where we don't have dust, because dust will damage some parts, maybe damaging the fan, damaging the other parts of the computer. Store the computers away from maybe some water, rain and everything that may damage the computer. That is why as I was beginning the class, I said that computer, maybe if you're a computer user, you need to clearly understand on a way where you can store your computer, how to maintain the computer, not in terms of repairing, but just making sure it is in a good condition, not destroying that, not in terms of repairing, making sure that the computer is in good condition. So guys, this just making stories, introduction to computers. If you have any questions, just comment down below in the comment section, or feel free to ask or send us an email. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, and like, comment and share. Thanks for watching.